Showers will continue tonight. Winter in parts of the north and west. Lowest temperatures of between 0 and +2 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball. This is News Talk.
All right, you're welcome along to Tuesday's Off the Ball. Nathan with you until 10 o'clock this evening. James McLoone going to be in studio. We'll bring you that from 8 o'clock. He will talk about the abuse that he's had to put up with during his time over in England. He's also going to talk about being fitter than ever before. And he will talk about Stephen Kenny and what to expect from the man who gave him his debut in the League of Ireland almost a decade ago. Dan McDonnell is in studio. How are you?
I'm looking forward to that, Nathan. I think the papers had some time with him earlier today, but not an hour. So I'm expecting an award-winning broadcaster like yourself has just knocked it out of the park.
Very likeable.
Yes.
James McLoone.
That would be, there's no doubt he's divisive. And that's something that will always be used in the context of James McLean. But I think I've always sort of respected his honesty, and it doesn't always mean that you would agree with everything he said. But that's just the way the way things go. And you can argue sometimes whether he's been right about something or has been consistent about something. But he's genuinely very genuine fella, in my opinion, and
he was in town.
Looking forward to hearing what he has to say.
He was in town because there's a new sensory hub at the Aviva Stadium coming into play for the Six Nations games that are coming up, and we'll be there for all the Ireland matches. And it's accessible to fans with issues such as ADHD, dyspraxia, and autism. And he speaks really well about his 2-year-old daughter Willow, who hasn't been officially diagnosed with autism, but they are treating it like it is autism, and the difficulties that she is facing and will continue to face. And he's obviously very passionate about this because by all accounts he was in town all day promoting this and getting the word out there, and speaks brilliantly about how he's in a very privileged position. They've been able to put a sensory room into their house for their 2-year-old, whereas obviously most people unfortunately can't afford to do that, and what a difference something like this will make to young people or to elderly people who just want to go to a game but don't want the full atmosphere. Who actually want a calmer situation. So yeah, he was very, very good with his time, and just really interesting. Obviously, the abuse and everything that's gone on over the past, well, we're probably 8 years into it at this stage, but particularly in the last month, and says that the FA finally, it seems, have copped on, and over the past couple of months things have improved. He is incredibly fit. Like, he's 30. I sort of asked near the end, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And he had this bewildered look of, well, playing.
It is. Like, I keep hearing these anecdotal tales about that intense fitness. I don't know if you spoke about, I think he has a gym in his house, and I think you've spoken before about doing boxing.
Look, all the good stuff,
training.
Dan, we got to. Don't you worry.
No, don't worry about it. I'm sure you did. Listen,
You've gone very high pitched there, Danny. Okay.
He's a premium broadcaster. Sorry. I mean, I'm just worried you're not still recovering from your Dancing on Ice euphoria. But
you're like, would you please stop talking about James McLean so I can get the goss on Dancing on Ice?
No, I'll get that off air, obviously, the real stuff. But I do think history will be kind to James McLean, definitely on what he's gone through, in the last, and I say gone through, I don't think he probably feels it as much as people around him might, but he's still been he's bore the brunt of a lot of stuff, and I think in time it will be a reference point in in recent football history about sort of awareness and raising the point that someone who stands up for their beliefs isn't the bad guy, but we are in a time of recent history where that isn't always the case. And that's I think a legacy, and even the recent actions that have been taken are probably very significant, and I think the penny has dropped eventually with some people, not all obviously.
Because when you think back to probably 5-6 years ago, and the storm around not wearing the poppy was really at its height, there was a sort of feeling amongst a lot of people of, he brings it all on himself. He's asking for trouble. Yeah, looking for it.
That still lingers. That still lingers, and at times I guess he might have had a confrontational approach to some people who took him on over it, and then people are like, oh well, look at that, he's making it worse now, and I don't know, I'm sure
it is bizarre how we judge footballers, in that James McLean can find himself in a position where he's going over to take a corner and there's 30, 40 people roaring abuse at him, sectarian abuse, things about his family. And if he basically tells them to F off,
He's the one that gets
he's
it.
the bad guy.
Oh yeah, and this ludicrous thing of, I mean, just the ultimate ignorant point of, well, you know, he's earning his money here. You know, he's getting paid the Queen's money. You know, why can't you go back to where he comes from, where they're also paid the Queen's money? There's a bit of history behind that, though. You know, there's a bit of a story behind that there. But that's the type of thing that's not even an opinion offered by sort of, you know, trolls, for want of a better word. That's been offered by serious columnists. You know, this is almost a view of, if he doesn't like it here, if you don't like what we do here, get out of here, which actually is completely at odds with the idea of what, like, a, you know, democratic country with free choice, etc., should represent. So, but people have probably heard a lot of that stuff before, but it is a funny one. I mean, sometimes now the flip side of that is that we can probably be guilty of taking a different approach when, you know, a footballer might pop up with politics that you mightn't be mad about. You know, like Harry Arter recently got stuck into the election and didn't necessarily cover himself in glory, because he did appear to have mixed up Jeremy Corbyn with Boris Johnson. Which, I mean, I can understand the grief that he got for that, and, you know, I wouldn't agree with a lot of stuff that he would say, but there is a same point of, well, if that is what he believes, then you probably have to let him at it too, and there would be a mob going against him and probably taking a slightly different view. You know what I mean?
It does also show, like the Harry Arter example, maybe not the best, but does show why sports people don't get involved in political issues.
That is...
Because unless you are 100% nailed on with every single opinion, you're done for.
Yeah.
Like, there is no respite.
Yeah.
It's coming hard and fast.
Yeah, very much so. And James McLoone's been asked before, and this is a couple of months back, about his views. Maybe you've asked it in your hour, but, you know, about, like, other Irish players not wearing the poppy as well. And yeah, but like he did deal with it before, and he sort of said, listen, he understands. I think it was around the maybe Denmark game, but like, he understands that it's not for everyone, you know, and that he understands that some people may not want the hassle that comes that way. But I still think someone who's sort of gone the full hog and decided, yeah, this is what I believe, I'm going to stick with it, because there is, like, that world when you have so many handlers and people around you, and we talk so much about people in all sports who just really have, they go into this world and they suspend their own beliefs. They let other people do the thinking for them. It's not the whole thing of, this tweet will go well for you, say something like, you know.
Well, it was Michael Owen when he was in here before Christmas, talking about when he was 17, and basically his agent said, this is the path we're going to put for you. You're going to be the nice guy. You're going to be the bland, boring guy that all the different brands can latch onto, and that's going to be you. And then he realised at 35, oh, that's what people think I am.
Yeah, and that's the product of it. And I would think with James McLean that he's been very raw, like, at times, and at times, like, hasn't been as polished as some people would like their sports stars to be when they talk about political issues. Like, it may not always be like bang on perfect explanation of his point of view, and then. And over time, then he obviously did that letter, you know, at Wigan, and that sort of allowed him to maybe start to present what he was thinking in a slightly better way than it was initially. But, like, there is a point at times where you're dealing with, and this is something I think I'm always very conscious of in, like, covering sport, that, like, if you're dealing with, like, 20, 21, 22-year-old footballers or athletes or whatever, like, think about what you were like yourself. And if everything that you'd said...
fully expect them to have this worldview that far beyond their years.
Every message that you sent or every line that you've uttered, like, you know, back in your days, Galway Bay FM or whatever, when you were... What was you doing? You were judging competitions or whatnot. This is a dark and sordid part of your past that we touched on one day. Would you like to be judged by that today?
Dear God.
Can we?
What do you think happened in Galway Bay FM?
I don't know. You want to tell us some story about...
Not on air, Dan.
Oh, right, okay.
Some details were on air, some details were off.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, there you go. But you wouldn't like if there was a footprint of all that stuff.
I don't even like this. I don't even like this guy.
You even feel uncomfortable. What did happen? More to the point, what happened at the after party on Sunday? Now, we can't even go there either.
We're getting to two of my favourite topics now. All that serious stuff, let's push that aside. My two favourite topics, dancing on ice and successful Mayo people.
Right.
Oh, no.
We'll get to the successful Mayo people taking over the Irish rugby team in a minute. But dancing on ice. So I went through with...
No, I know you did.
So we don't need to go over that. I left out one important point.
Right.
Of how far Kilban has left us all forever. Like, there's no coming back from this. Do you know where he is right now?
Tanning salon.
I think that was earlier. On his way to the National Television Awards.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God.
Yes, 100%. Black tie, suited and booted, back at a limo, on his way to the National Television Awards.
You said back a limo. They're on a bus. He posted from his Instagram. They're definitely on a bus. It's not as glamorous as it might look.
Are they all being
This is
afraid?
the-
They're all being afraid in and out.
This is the world he's living in.
Yeah. So who's he going to be hanging around with tonight? Like, I mean, I was going to list a number of people, but I think people with those profiles are all on the show. Someone from Coronation Street.
They were on the show. Leanne from Coronation Street was there
Ex-model of some kind.
on Sunday night.
Yeah. Someone from reality show. There's
They
loads
were
of
all
them.
there.
Well, he is one now.
He is one himself.
That's why he's there.
Yeah, no, it's not quite a reality show, is it?
Well, it is.
Well, I suppose it is, but a reality show was more.
Getting a real
when
insight
he heads
into his
off
life.
into the jungle or something.
Oh, well, that's where this
next.
is going.
Yeah.
That's next.
I think he said before he wouldn't do that, but you know,
Well,
when you get a taste, you
in
know.
fairness, I think there's a few things that are going on right now that he said before he wouldn't do. And here we are.
Yeah, well, that's true.
I'll let you rest on that one, Nathan.
Yeah, that was interesting.
As I've said, very enjoyable evening.
Yeah, he didn't, was there booing of Caprice? This is what I wanted to know.
I
read the stories about.
This is like, you know, when you're
booze
doing
as
when you're
Caprice
doing a
steps
match
out.
report.
And there is a sporting reference because Caprice. There was stories of Caprice. Then it was like, here's Caprice with Tony Adams 20 years ago.
Yeah.
He had a brief thing, you know.
Right.
But,
But you know when you're at a match and afterwards people start telling you about something that happened. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, I never noticed that. I'm reading that Caprice was booed and I don't remember Caprice being booed.
Was that because you were booing Caprice?
Possibly.
You're in the mob.
Well, I had identified her as the most likely to
Vulnerable.
get the boot for Kilban. I think she might go next week and Kilban will survive yet another week.
The opinion, okay.
53106 is the text. And we're going to talk to Rory O'Connor, who is over in Portugal because the Irish team are over at a training camp. But Andy Farrell has named his team.
He has, and Conor Murray has won the competition to start at scrum half for Ireland's opening Six Nations game with Scotland on Saturday. Ulster's informed John Cooney must contend himself with a place on the bench at the Aviva. Andrew Conway starts in the wing in the absence of Keith Earls, and there's the first cap at number 8 for Leinster's Caelan Doris in a selection that sees CJ Stander move to the blind side. Rob Herring starts at hooker, but Ronan Kelleher is set to win his first cap off the bench. Farrell was asked today about his preference at scrum half.
John's in great form. John's part of this squad. He's in fine form. He's had a few days that he missed through HIA protocols, but still, as I said before, Connor's been going great guns in camp as well, and John's been supporting Connor within that role, and everyone's raring to go now.
Yeah, so this was sort of teed up, I think, over the last couple of days that Conor Murray may get the nod.
Strategic
Sounded a
links.
little bit tetchy there. I'd imagine there was quite a few questions going his way about John Cooney, the in-form Irish player of the last 4 months since the World Cup, Ireland's best player.
I think that was, to be fair,
Still can't get in the team.
I think that was his first question, because it was like a 7.5 minute, 8 minute
Right.
kind of press conference, and his general team selection, everything's being teed up. And then I think it was Sinead Kassan asked him about John Cooney, and it was like Farrell had been waiting for it and was already bored with the prospect of answing the question.
There's probably a daily section after, though, where he probably has to go through it all again, too, to some degree. I think it was Brendan Fanning or someone writing, there's only 2 changes from the first game in the World Cup against Scotland. So it's not exactly like a
Sea change.
massive
Brave New Dawn.
Brave New Dawn. Which is interesting because I know I'm bringing it back to my own parish a bit, but like Stephen Kenny coming in, people expect that, like, you know, new manager, new wave, like there's going to be massive. Johnny will be here all the time. There's going to be 7, 8, 9 changes. I still think, you know, certain people, when they get to a game, it really, really matters for points and whatever, that I think there's naturally going to be a degree of conservatism returns. Whatever your philosophy in terms of players you can trust, surely you're going to probably go that way a small bit.
Philosophy is the one thing. I think Farrell mentioned it today, that I think there will be an evolving of playing style. He's hinted pretty strongly at that in the press conference today.
Yeah,
I think
that
that's what
Irish
we're gonna
people want to be entertained.
see. We want to be entertained by the Irish rugby team in front of us. Yeah.
Still wants players he knows more about, though, doesn't he?
Yeah, maybe
Yeah, to a
he
degree.
is going with a long-term plan for this Six Nations, in that he has different teams planned for different matches. Like, Ireland are going to win this game against Scotland. Like, if they don't, it's an absolute catastrophe and he's going to be on the back foot. But also, like, Conor Murray 6 months ago maybe a year ago, was the best scrum half in the world, arguably. His high point is far higher than John Cooney's. So if an 8 out of 10 Murray performance, is that the equivalent of a 10 out of 10 Cooney performance? And you would back Murray to get an 8 out of 10 performance.
They're not necessarily like for like, though, either. That's what you have to contend with. And it was a good point by Keith Wood last night about if John Cooney was playing behind the Munster pack that Murray has at the moment, I don't think necessarily we'd be seeing the same performances from John Cooney that we are. So to just keep his head above water, I think Conor Murray's doing quite well at the moment. I think, as you say, a 10 out of 10 performance for Conor Murray is way above what John Cooney will ever be able to get.
So aside from that, the selection of Quaylen Dorrit from Mayo.
Another one.
Ballina, man.
God, and he's.
I once shared a flight with his parents over to that France.
He came from
I
that.
can't believe it's kicking you one place further down the influential people from Mayo.
He came from that traditional Mayo rugby school of Blackrock College.
Oh yeah, well, that's he's
Rock songs going all the time.
He's one of your own. He's one of your own.
He's absolutely sending it into
I
that
like
back row.
my fellow county man Rob Kearney. From Ghost Man, was he?
Yes.
Yeah.
So that was Andy Farrell. We talked to Rory O'Connor about 10-15 minutes about the team news and the surprises. And it seems maybe there was one or two surprises. Generally, the newspapers, Dan, have the team in the morning. But at this time, I think they were slightly off.
Really? Yeah, I think, well, I got the impression, and you can maybe bring it up, but I think they've tightened things up big time in the last
Well, tell us more. Tell us more. Sources are no longer there.
No, I don't think that's the
What
case.
do you know?
I just think that they're minding things very well. I think that was a feature. I think even I actually had this thing around the World Cup actually that I know the Roy Best spoke afterwards and stuff. But what do you think about it? Like it was a 7-week camp or maybe longer? It seemed like they were there forever. But you didn't. For all the results didn't go that well. You never really there wasn't a huge amount of like stuff leaking out of the camp. There was never. You never really got a real sense of, there was unhappiness over it. There was a small bit towards the end of it, but that was almost coming first person from stuff. They obviously, they've kept it tight enough. I would have thought.
It is very different, though,
You
comparing the football team and the rugby team, because the football team at the end of a tournament go back to England, whereas they go back to their provinces. Most of them are actually still paid by their RFU. So you can't really be throwing your toys out of the pram too much. No,
I guess that, but it's even just in terms of, I don't know, I think they had stuff about team announcements and stuff over there, but it was very structured and controlled. It seemed like the RFU managed to control their press stuff in a very sort of organised way.
The texts are coming in, Dan. Guess what they're saying? McLean takes the Queen's shilling and has Republican sentiments. What does he expect? Says Mike.
But I mean, in theory, like everyone in Derry takes the Queen's shilling.
Does he want to get paid in euros?
You can ask get paid in euros. I mean, various
That would
times,
be quite a stand.
Various times in the last couple of years, that's been
Sweating
good.
at home over the exchange rate every night.
It hasn't been great since Brexit, to be honest. Yeah. Oh no, it's the other way around. Actually, your sterling wouldn't travel as far, but yeah.
Jules has been in touch. I watched the stream, lads. McLean clearly likes sparking conversation or attention, whichever way you like to look at it. He knows saying this stuff is going to invite trouble, but he seems cool with it. I came away from the interview liking him more.
Yeah, I think that's a fair enough.
If you want to give Kilban a reality check, put him back in the studio with his greatest fear, Ivan Yates.
Oh God!
Was there something between
Did they have an issue?
Kev and Ivan? I don't remember that.
It's not Richie's
Aside
biggest
from the
fear.
general disrespecting.
I have to go through that every day, Dan.
That's a fear that you live with all the time.
Every day.
Question, lads. This is unfair, but fair enough. Have Nathan and the dude with the beard from The Hangover ever been seen in the same room together?
Zach Galifianakis. Is there a side by side? It's not accurate at all.
Nah.
He looks like Pat Balfe.
Yeah.
Yeah, a bit actually.
When we
stare.
we did an OB in Tallinn prior to the playoff. Literally, people were coming up to Pat Balfe. Who, if people don't know, Pat's basically the man who makes Today FM run.
He makes the entire building.
He makes the
makes
entire
us
building
run.
Yeah, exactly.
And he won't unless you keep, keep him sweet. So he very much makes us run as well.
But people just kept coming up to him going, "Oh, hangover," for like a constant 3 hours. And he smiled every time because he's such a good man.
Good man.
Oh, there you go. Are you happy? You're not happy with that comparison, or? Yeah.
Well, I've no choice but to take it.
You take it,
Like, what do I say?
Yeah, like.
It don't really look like him. You don't.
Overweight man with beard. Thanks, guys.
It's pretty harsh on Zach Galifianakis. He's done a lot to get himself in shape.
I see. He looks far better there than he did in The Hangover.
Well, if you've seen him in the Between Two Ferns movie, he's really got himself together.
Let's review it in 5 years.
Shane Duffy.
Yeah, bad news around him this evening. There's concern over his fitness. The Brighton centre-half has undergone a minor operation to have a blood clot removed from his leg. Duffy's been managing the problem in recent weeks and isn't expected to be a long-term absentee. 2 to 3 weeks is what we're hearing on that front. And a place in the Carabao Cup final awaits either Aston Villa or Leicester tonight. They're tied at a goal apiece out of the second leg of their semi-final at Villa Park. Conor Hourihane starts in the Villa bench and kick-off is at 7:45.
We're still, 8 weeks away from the game against Slovakia? So if this is the 3 to 4 weeks...
Yeah, like it's not ideal, obviously, and I remember, you can't just generalise. Remember, didn't John O'Shea back in the day have a blood clot around? Actually, he sustained it in the Paris playoff, and ended up out for longer than you would think. Like I'm sort of, I'd be of the view at this stage that like a short-term injury issue for some of our players isn't such a bad thing. Like the really important ones, because that means they're more likely to be coming back fresh and well. It's like this is the classic one where, thankfully this didn't happen 2 weeks out for the game, or he's done. So he hasn't been playing a huge amount.
He's been managing it. He was on the bench last 2 games.
I know there's a suggestion Darren Randolph might be, dropping out of the West Ham team if Fabianski's back. But in a way, I don't think once they're getting some minutes, I wouldn't imagine Mick McCarthy would be too worried. It's actually the guys come March who are feeling the effects of a long season, playing games every week. They're the ones that could be almost as much of a concern. So, Duffy, unfortunately, hasn't played a huge amount this year, and that's as much of an issue as anything that he's encountered. But he made it back for the Denmark game when it looked like he was in trouble. I was at Brighton at the time; it looked like he was done, and he still made it back. So, we'll see.
We shall
see. I mean, it is creeping up to that stage now, though, where the minor injury suddenly becomes. He's a major doubt for Slovakia.
And especially getting a blood clot removed, it's kind of there's an X factor involved there. You don't know which way it's going to settle down.
Was Mick McCarthy doing a press conference today? Or I just saw.
I think there was an FAI scouting report on the website. This is always it's like
a
when
godsend to the journalists.
It's not. I mean, that's up for debate. It's when the FAI website does news. But I can't get past these. We can't complain that there's information and there's quotes coming out there. I still can't get beyond the FAI scouting report that suggested Ryan Manning was lined up for a squad appearance and a debut against New Zealand, and then ended up not being in the squad, which ended up just piling on, not in the final squad. And it just ended up, it's like, geez, Ryan Manning, must be disappointing from Ryan Manning to miss out after the speculation in the press. I was like, no, actually, that speculation wasn't in the press. It was on the website of the National Association themselves. He put that out there. So I'm not a mad fan of that. You're looking up something to do with something previous.
No.
I can tell.
No.
Something to do with the hangover.
Paul.
I'm about to read you some of the scouting report.
Oh, go for
because
it.
This is actually quite bizarre in a way. First impressions matter. And Southampton frontman Michael Obafemi made a very good first impression on Mick McCarthy as the countdown continues to Slovakia. The Ireland managers had Obafemi scouted on several occasions since he took the job just over a year ago. But Saturday's 1-1 draw with Spurs was the first time he saw the striker for himself.
That seems bizarre.
What?
Yeah, I just don't know. I just don't know about some of this, to be honest. Are you more so like, is that the only time you've seen him? How
is this the first time you've seen him play?
Are you saying the FA are lying to us?
No, I'm not saying that at all. I'm very much not saying that. But I just find it slightly unusual that's on an association website.
It's an official
there's obviously a move towards
taking control of the narrative.
People doing their own in-house media and stuff, and I get that completely with interviews and stuff. But I mean, you did have an instance a couple of weeks ago where I think that Mick McCarthy gave a comment on Darren Randolph's move to West Ham before the deal was done, which is the type of thing that I'd imagine
clubs would frown upon.
Clubs wouldn't be mad about. In fact, I can't imagine Mick McCarthy, as Ipswich manager, would have enjoyed being told that Martin O'Neill had told the FAI website that he welcomes the move away from his club of this particular player.
And the club assistant manager is also the assistant manager of the international team.
Yes. Yeah.
It's all a bit awkward.
So,
anyways,
go on.
Also, I've kept in regular contact with Shane, and I've repeatedly told him that his return to form with his club will count for March. So Shane Long.
Something about Ronan Curtis in there. And
Ronan Curtis, yeah. One of a number of Irish players coming into form right now, which is great news.
There's a quip in there, I believe.
A joke.
Something to do. He scored against his hometown club, or maybe that was someone else. Kind of who it was. But anyway, yeah, it's all there. It's on FEI.ie. We may as well direct some traffic to it.
Who's Will? Will got his passport sorted last year. Will Keane.
Yeah, he's at Ipswich.
Oh yeah, Ipswich. Terry Connor went to watch him.
Yeah,
back in the team, and he's back scoring goals.
They were keen on him pretty much as soon as they got the job, and I think the passport has only recently come through.
Yeah, he's they got. Yeah, he relegated. He's then League One level now, basically, Will Keane. So yeah.
I know March is a long way off, but there's a real feel-good factor about the players available for the squad now. Long may that continue.
Long may that continue.
Yeah.
Long. Real subtle.
Well, I mean, I would say the quote is probably more of a bigger indicator, but we'll see.
It's just fascinating.
But
it's not all about the kids, though, Dan. James McLean is coming into his own under Michael O'Neill at Stoke. Glenn is really enjoying working with Joey Barton at Fleetwood, and Darren is back in the Premier League, where he belongs.
Yeah, there you go. Tune in for more. The scouting report. You may laugh, but
putting you out of a job, Dan.
Give it a while. That may be the only access you get.
I may laugh. Dan's like, woohoo! That's half my job for tomorrow done.
I know.
Copy and paste.
I saw that earlier.
Oof! You're taking a stand for journalism, are you?
I just they don't do much for me.
Wow.
Reports. But they are a useful source of information. But as I said, poor old Ryan Manning.
What's with all the Murray nostalgia and the failure to accurately reflect Cooney's outstanding performances over the last 18 months, especially in pressure games? Ulster pack a dominating 8. What are you guys smoking?
We've been over this.
No comment.
What happened at Donegal Ice, Nathan?
What else you got, Richie? Quickly.
And the Galway Bay FM.
Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp says Sadio Mane will miss their next 2 games. The Senegalese forward suffered a small muscle tear against Wolves and will be absent for their meetings with West Ham tomorrow and Southampton at the weekend. And Klopp says his leaving their FA Cup replay with Shrewsbury to the club's under-23s and their manager Neil Critchley is not disrespecting the competition. The replay falls in the middle of the Premier League winter break, and Klopp insisted neither the senior players nor himself will be involved. The German says player welfare is his only concern, and he feels careers are being shortened by the demands on top-level players.
I don't want to be the person who is the shouter for everybody. It's just nobody, not nobody else. A lot of coaches do it. But that's now a moment where we have to stay strong and say, no, that we cannot do that like this anymore, because if we don't start a discussion, all the rest is only grabbing more. It's just only doing more, and here another game, and there another game, and here another competition, and here a bigger Champions League, and here and that. And of course, it's from the club's point of view interesting, clear. But we are part of the club, and we talk to all the important people in our club as well. But it's completely normal. We want to play football as often as possible, but that's the key word: possible. So you cannot play constantly.
I'm getting abuse from my own people. Caelan Doris is a Lacan man, not a Ballina man.
That's just shoddy.
Get your research correct.
You're not going to get quote of the week in Mayo News this week.
I would have thought Lacan and Ballina, they're right beside each other. It's all North Mayo.
God, I mean, I don't get that reference, but I assume that's the shockwaves. The shockwaves.
I can feel the
I'm an East Mayo man, you know.
You won't be invited to that thing, for influential people. You weren't invited to it before, actually. That was the whole issue, wasn't it?
No, I'm fine with it. It's fine.
You're not at it.
I've looked into it though, and Kilbane never actually really won the Mayo Person of the Year. Yeah. He sort of has this in his head. He was at an awards, I think, where somebody was presented with it, and he seems to think he won it. But I've looked through the Roll of Honour, and he's not there.
How often do you look through that Roll of Honour?
He looks through it.
What's the criteria and what I got to do?
Yeah.
Charity work, you saying, Mayo? I'll be right there. Dan, you're going back for the football show?
I will.
Richie, we're done with you.
Deadly.
James McLean coming up at 8 o'clock, but up next we're going to look at that Irish rugby team at Rory O'Connor.
Off the ball on News Talk.
At Lexus, we have always